What's up, YouTube? Ban list discussion round two. I had a lot of really positive comments and discussions about my previous video, and I've had other discussions off YouTube across various Facebook pages since. So I figured I'd go ahead and streamline down the list to something that we're more likely to see come September 1st. My previous video I discussed 31 separate cards. Here we're down to 17. So I'll go ahead and get into it. First off, Monster Reborn. Universal power card that can really change the game around. It's been in, it's been out, and while I'm not sure off the top of my head how long Reborn's been back, um, if we go ahead and cycle it out, I think it's going to open up room for something else to possibly come back later. It could be replaced with Premature, but there are still some stupid things that can happen with Premature. So if anything, I could see Reborn going and just nothing necessarily taking its place. As for Wind Up Hunter, I could care less one way or another about the loop, but I could see Konami being preemptive about it in the extra pack come October. The OCG is getting Shark and Rabbit, which will give them the Wind Up deck as we know it. So I think they might try and chop off the head of that hand loop before they ever have to deal with it, similar to how they hit Tengu. Envoy is just our boss monster. Boss monsters come and go. As soon as one boss monster's gone, it opens up the door for another one to come back. Possibly here September 1st, or we might not get a full boss monster type replacement for him until maybe next March or whatnot. But if BLS doesn't leave, the door doesn't open for anything new to help change the meta. Finally is Five-Headed. I dislike the idea of banning Future Fusion when the only reason Future Fusion is broken right now is because of Five-Headed. I understand there are some really busted loops with Escuriato and Heroes and, of course, Dragoinity and various things that can use Future Fusion as a very big win condition. But none of those decks make a legitimate impact on the metagame. Even though the combos they pull off can wreck the meta, they're just so small, it's really not worth taking into account. If you chop Five-Headed, you take away the power card from Chaos Dragons, and it really starts to slow the deck down along with the rest of the cuts that will be made to the deck. Yes, I realize that Five-Headed, as well as Logia, are getting reprints, but I see Konami is starting to take steps towards making the game better available for everyone. If you notice with a lot of the reprints, they're trying to make the game a little bit cheaper so they can keep people that don't necessarily have the deepest pocketbooks in the competitive game. And under that mindset, I think they're really trying to balance out the game across all levels of players. And to do that, some of these cuts need to be made, regardless of the reprints. The reprints just get the cards out to people. On to our limited cards. Magician of Faith. With the Prophecy coming out, Spellcaster support is going to be a really, really big thing. As such, I see Magician of Faith coming back. She will be universal, but I think she's going to get that edge to come back thanks to the Prophecy archetype. Also, something to discuss, along with the BLS going away thing, Dark Magician of Chaos could be BLS's replacement, but honestly, I think that's a little bit overkill. I think we'll see Magician, and even though DMOC is a possibility, I highly doubt it. Light Pulsar to 1. Light Pulsar is what makes the deck really, really broken. You only need one Light Pulsar to get everything going. So if that Pulsar is there, you just start recycling and going busted. Or from the opposing side, if you see them bring out Light Pulsar and you have the answer to it, whether it's Bottomless or Deep Prison or something like that, if you can get rid of that Light Pulsar, you no longer have to worry about it. So I see Light Pulsar going to 1. It will obviously be a very solid standard. It would be the quote-unquote tech for the deck. But that's all it would be. It helps the deck be busted, but it's not busting the deck. Centipede, I would rather this be Dragonfly, honestly, but history shows us that they always hit the Searcher. Granted, there's never been an archetype before that has a two-piece combo like Centipede and Dragonfly before. But just due to history, Striker or Stratos, etc., Centipede will be the one to get hit to 1. If they can't keep searching out more Dragonflies, they can't keep going nuts. Tribe Infecting Virus. First off, Effect Veiler runs really, really rampant, so I really don't expect to see Tribe Infecting as being much of an issue, but it's a selling point for Abyss Rising and the Atlanteans. You pitch an Atlantean for Tribe Infecting to blow shit up, and then you get that Atlantean's effect. What a selling point! And the final card to limit to 1 is Logia. Like I said in my previous video, if Logia is at 1, it really makes that player think when the most effective time to put Logia on the board is. And if they make the wrong call and are able to easily stop that Logia, you know, they've got rid of their biggest powerhouse. Following that similar logic, if Xian is at 1, why isn't Logia at 1? On to our semi-limits. First off, Rescue Rabbit. It will really make the rabbit player think a little bit stronger about when they want to play that rabbit. If they run into Veiler, or if they know they're going to run into like a Chain Disappearance or something like that, they're not going to be just so quick to just drop a rabbit if they know they have 2 more. If they only have 1 more, that becomes problematic. If they don't have easy access to Leviair already, they're going to be even more held back on playing that rabbit if they know it's not going to go through. Couple that with the fact that they only have 1 Logia to go into, and it really opens up the Exceed game for the rabbit deck, because they're going to need to make a wider variety of plays rather than Logia set a bunch of back row go. Red Eyes to 2. With Red Eyes to 2 and Pulsar to 1, you really limit that recycling beat stick loop that the deck does have, as well as making it a little bit harder to go into Gustav FTKs, OTKs, whatever you want to call them, or however you want to do it with whichever deck and whichever build you want to do it with. Red Eyes, most people don't see it, but paired with Trag is the way to go Gustav. But having 3 Red Eyes, thanks to Autumn, can really make that play really, really stupid. If you cut that 3rd Red Eyes out of the loop, they're pretty much stuck ending with the Gustav, rather than being able to go into another Red Eyes and do something else as well. Book of Moon to 2, universal staple, I think. At 1, it's sort of fallen by the wayside. It doesn't see as much play anymore. Some people even opting to cut it from the deck. At 2, I think it'll see quite the bit to come back. It'll slow down the Exceed plays. Hell, Synchros, just whatever. Book is universal in every aspect of the term. And above all else, it will slow the game state down just a little bit. And I think that's something a lot of players are going to like. Countdown to 2. I've seen people say, you know, why countdown to 2? It really doesn't make a difference. My initial thought, Chain Strikes at 2, why not countdown at 2? You know, the counter argument to that is the 2nd and or 3rd Chain Strike actually does something. True, but my final countdown, you cut 1 copy from the deck. It just makes it a little bit harder to get into countdown. I mean, you still have dualities, you still have upstarts, you still have all that draw power and whatnot. It's still going to be there. I'm just ever so slightly minimizing that opening countdown play to make the deck have to work a little bit harder to be stupid. The final card to 2 is Debris Dragon. The main thing, again here, just like Tribe Infecting Virus, is because of Atlanteans. The Atlanteans get their effect when they're used as costs for water monster effects. What better way to blow up a lot of shit and abuse a lot of the Atlanteans' effects than Gungear? And what better way to go into Gungear than Debris Dragon? Not to mention, from a little bit of a personal bias, I would like to play Debris Hero again. So, Debris Dragon 2. As to our unlimited Summoner Monk, Trag, and Lumina, they pretty much all have the same answer to them. They don't make an impact on the meta. As for Trag and Lumina, they've been at 3, they got so broken they got cut to 1, they got brought back to 2, and they still do nothing. So bump it up to 3 and see what happens with the decks. Similar concept behind Summoner Monk. You know, he's at 2. I've seen him played on and off in some tier 2, tier 3 things, but not a ton by any means. But regardless, with as much as Konami wants to push Exceeds, why isn't Summoner Monk at 3? He's a single card that opens up every generic rank 4 play in the game. So with that being said, Summoner Monk should probably be at 3. There's plenty of other things that I've seen tossed around, but none that I think are necessarily going to be big enough to happen. I think the biggest one that I've seen discussed is Destiny Draw to 3. Um, sure, why not? I don't care. It's not something I chose to include. Um, because if you continue to do like I did in my previous video where I discussed 31 different cards, the ban list is really never that big. As a matter of fact, seeing 17 cards here on this list is still a big number of changes compared to what I think you would typically see. Normally you get 1, 2, maybe 3 bans, and then just a couple in each of the others. So this list, even at 17, I think is still pretty big. Even if you cut the count down, or maybe they don't bring Debris Dragon back and you're down at 15, you're getting closer to the size of the list that's probably going to happen. But in the long run, I think what we're looking at right here is most certainly going to be the closest overall ideology that's going to be followed to construct the ban list that we're going to see. So with that, let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, subscribe. Peace out.